All right, cool. Well, start the recording. All right. So the one that I spoke to you about last was your icon in the top left-hand corner. That's not actually a GIF, is it? That's actually code.
No, that's actually done with CSS. Pure CSS.
Nice, man. That's really clever.
I tried putting it on with code, and it screwed up all the layout and everything else. So I ended up doing it with CSS.
Nice.
And now I've got people wanting me to make it a link to the intranet, which I can't do because it's CSS.
Could you layer it? No. Could you layer it? No.
I can show you the actual code for that if you like.
I was just thinking you could put it like a cell and have the cell, a link on the cell.
Yeah, but every time I tried to do it as inserting an element in there, it just screwed up the layout. Custom space. So it's all actually in this file. And somewhere down here, that, oh no, this is service offering stuff. No, further down. I got so much CSS crap in here. Find.png. There we go. That's it. So this is the header logo. And right down to, that's the bit that makes it spin. Oh, then there's that center bit there. Yeah, so literally that's all that.
Wow. I'd like to pretend that I know what that is all doing, but you can see the transform there or the rotate. Oh man, that's awesome.
So the dipty is one image, the service center is another image, and the circle bit around the outside is another image, and there's a 1 pixel transparent image that goes in the middle of that circle. And then we rotate that 1 pixel one, which then, because the other one's on the background, goes with it.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's cool. I like it.
That's how that one's done, that whole thing. And that text is just your normal, what do you want to call your portal?
Yeah.
We put dev in on dev, UAT on UAT, and absolutely nothing on prod.
Cool. So I want to just walk through some of the stuff that you've done there. You put the badges on the left-hand side there, which is, I think, the most obvious thing that sits out, but that's on the community, everything like that. The other one is the drawer is now missing in your environment.
The new button, gone. No one gets it.
So explain how you've done that, or moved it to the incidents and so forth to make it easier.
Well, I originally got rid of it using a bit of JS, but then people were using IE10 and the JavaScript didn't run, so they got a new button, but they got nothing else.
Right.
Because it doesn't work in IE10. So then I changed it, got rid of the JavaScript and changed it to CSS just to hide it. So service desk, when they get a call, they'll come up here to incidents, click on that. We've got a few incident templates they can actually click on, which preset some things. The problem records can get created here. They can look at all the reopened and resolved incidents, but they want to create a new one, they click that. And
takes them straight into
there's our new incident form.
Now, this new incident form that's come up over the top, this is kind of the key fields, right?
Yeah, everything except for the description and anything that's required is on this form apart from the description.
Right.
I am planning on adding config items to the bottom of it.
Okay.
But I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
So if I say go and select me, it's just a user picker similar to the ones that are used in the Arrow toolbox. So it does server-side filtering, doesn't bring up anything till you type 3 characters. But I may decide I don't want to be contacted over this. So Ryan's, because we've extended the incident class for a primary contact. I might say I want him to be the primary contact. I want him to get the emails, and I don't want any emails or anything.
Nice.
So the creation emails, the resolved emails go off those. Title here. What type of problems? Just your standard classifications. Go for that. Who is impacted is
so I find that interesting that you've described it that way. So the impact on that was urgency, for example.
Yeah, that was a business decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is I think that's the impact, but what is the impact is actually the urgency.
Yeah. I like it, and it's a better way of framing it. Yeah, for an end user, but the reason that's done this way on the form as well is because that's what we were putting in our AROs when we were asking if someone was going to put an ARO in for an incident. Same thing it was asking them there. Yeah. No,
so they decided to go this way. So we'll say individual, but the low we actually describe here whether they've got alternatives, ability to work significantly integrated or unable to work. So we'll just say low for the moment. By default, it always comes up with phone. Notice that all the other little things like SCOM and SCCM and all the rest of them are gone.
Yep.
We don't even give it to them on this list. So they can't say this is from an automated system or something else.
Yep.
And since it defaults to phone, which most of these, and has it happened before? They wanted that.
Okay.
When we first went with incidents, they decided they wanted to ask that. So when that clicks OK, notice that the affected user, nothing is filled in behind here. Click OK, and there it all is.
So it's interesting that you've got the users
also pop up the last 5 items.
So the users last 5
so if I had any open incidents, that would show on this. Yeah, if I had any open incidents, they would show on that toast, and I could click them and it would open up in a new window.
Okay.
So say I've gone to the portal, I've logged an incident, but they haven't done anything about it, so I ring them up and log a new one. They can actually see that there that I've already logged it.
Okay. And you put the user's photo.
That seems I've got no open incidents. Let's see. Yeah.
Yep.
That's coming straight from Exchange.
Nice.
And Ryan doesn't have a photo. That's why he's got his little thing there.
Yep.
So pretty much they have to fill in the description. All the rest of it's all filled in. The priorities. That's the other thing. As we start typing in here, it'll pop up any related knowledge base articles. So if I'm typing in the title, it will do a quick search of just what's in the title and only show you the top 5. If I'm typing in the description, it will show you whatever's the top 10, but search title and description. But we've also got the links over here for quick search and search. So that's the title one and that's the description one. So I could go and get rid of stuff here. I don't know why that. Being UAT, there's a lot of crappy articles there. If I get rid of all that, it should disappear. Maybe not. Okay. Yeah, when it finds something that's changed, it actually gets rid of this one and pops it up again.
Right.
obviously being UAT, that's a bit different. Yeah. I'll cheat actually and show you something. No, I'll do it on Dev. Dev, there's a couple of articles I know that'll show up differently. I'll just grab that one. I just don't particularly want to go to prod.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, if I type Outlook in there, we've got 1 KB article.
Nice.
That didn't show up with mobility. I did put a couple in here for testing. I can't remember the words I was using. But if I say leave OWA down there, get rid of that. That should disappear.
It did before.
Yeah, because it can't find what I've typed in, it disappeared.
Yeah.
So that one's showing up for mobility and for Outlook.
Yep. Nice.
So that's from the same article. So, and it just pops up as you start typing.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Now you haven't moved
attachments
to the front page.
No.
Okay.
No, they're just on the related items still.
Yep. And you know the latest one's got drag and drop and previews.
Yeah.
Yep.
We haven't got that version in UAT or prod yet. That's only in dev.
Yeah. When you do,
we're still running 7.4 in UAT and prod.
Okay. When you do, you have the new one put in there with drag and drop attachments. One customer that I've seen do it has put it next to the description. So description only takes up half the page, and attachments is right alongside of it, and that looks and functions really well.
So if I did that, I'd make the description take up 3/4 of the page.
Or 3/4 of the page, yeah. They're just, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having them side by side actually, it looks really good.
What else have we done here?
That's about it. You've done the incident.
Well, we can got the convert to parent and everything else here. We can copy it to a new one. The link to problem record.
Yep.
Over here on the right. We can just click that. It pops up a list of all the open problem records. And I could say, go and link it to that one. And let's just get rid of that. There is, it's not a, there it is. Problem record's already linked here. It won't show the title, status, etc. until after you save it.
Yeah.
But that is now actually linked.
And you've got the save and close. You've renamed save to save and close. And got it pulsate.
And apply to apply/save. It was the pulsate's on the community site.
Yep.
One of the things we did do, if it's a new incident, which in the URL list is, we've got a resolve button.
Yep.
Now, what that actually does is there's a resolve at first contact here. You can't click it because it's disabled. But if you click that resolve button, that will tick that and then save and close it.
So the resolve only appears when the URL is the incident/new.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can tell that
it'll only be there for new incidents.
I really like that. Great way of being able to track that information.
I mean, everyone's come up with all sorts of ways of checking dates and times and all the rest, and I'm like, well, nah, screw that. I'll just extend the field by a Boolean. And our add activity, which will work on service requests, change requests, problems, or incidents. if there's already activities there, it'll list there, whatever title you want. It'll always copy the description from the work item in, so you can change it, but if you don't need to change it, it's just there. What support group you want to give it to. I'll put this through to us. Now, there's a lot here that, because it's an incident, you can only add manual activities, but I can show you on service requests and stuff. Oh, same with problems. Similar thing, you can only add an activity, that's it.
Yep.
On service requests and changes, you actually get a lot more options.
Yep.
Resolved incidents. We'll go and hopefully there's one there. Oh, crap. I must have an incident somewhere. None there. Okay, there's got to be an incident somewhere. That one will do. It's only one of Ryan's test ones. So now this change status link here, we don't want people closing incidents.
Yep.
They can resolve them, but they can't close them. So if I change this to resolve, if you look over on the right-hand side, that change status is now gone.
Yep. So you don't want them to be able to bring it back out of resolve to active?
It's both. Well, no, not normal analysts.
Okay.
Once they resolve it, it's resolved, that's it. But if they change this back to active, that's back. Or if they cancel it, it hasn't saved, it'll come back. But, say I'm an analyst, I've done this, I've decided that I'm cancelling it because I can't figure it out. Not even going to bother with the description. Now, you probably won't see this because with me being an admin, you might. I can't remember if we let admins get around this. No, I didn't. Notice it's resolved. Everything's disabled. There's no tasks, not even for an admin.
Right.
No comments or anything else. So basically 10 days from now, that will get auto closed. But if you're in the service desk support group, you actually do get a reactivate incident button link here. And that will change it back to active and then open everything up.
So only the service desk.
But also the comment field, only the service desk officers. The comment field for the service desk officers is also available. So that way if a customer rings up and says, oh yeah, just say thanks to whoever, it's all fixed and working, they can put the comment in and save it without reopening it.
Nice.
Or if the customer rings up and says, I need it reactivated, they can put the comment in, hit the reactivate link, and everything's back to active again.
Nice.
And even being an admin, I can't do that because I'm not in the service desk group.
Yeah.
But literally everything on there is disabled so that no one but the service desk can reopen it.
Nice. Makes sense.
Yeah, we're planning on using a similar thing to this to do a read-only version of all the forms, so that when you open the forms initially, they're read-only only, and you get an edit button down the bottom.
Oh, okay.
And that way it saves lots of people opening the same request when an email for change stakeholders goes out or something like that.
And stop the collision errors.
We'll have it open as read-only. Yeah. Well, we've put the work item lock in that was up on the community site. But the problem is with change managers and the change stakeholders notifications, they all click on the link and then just leave it there. So then no one can edit it anymore. So we're just going to make everything read-only, and then when you click the edit button, it'll call the same link but pass a variable through, and that will allow it to be edited.
Okay.
So hopefully that will do that. Yeah, there's not a huge amount we've done otherwise with
incidents. No, that's cool.
Incidents. Oh, actually, yeah, there is. You may have seen the work It's probably easier to show this on a service request than a
I like the VIP there, by
they all have the action log expanded. Oh,
that actually
yeah,
shows up
that
in
one.
the, yeah,
It's
that's
not
cute.
actually not at the moment. We put it in quite a few months ago. We did it properly and did all the right API calls and everything else, and it absolutely hammered the crap out of the production server.
Right.
So I pulled it out within 3 hours of it going live.
Right.
I just redid it again yesterday, and it's using way less than 1% of the resources it was doing now. I'm not doing it the right way. I'm just doing a straight SQL call to a SQL view instead of going through the proper APIs, and then it just puts them on the ones that are VIP. So that VIP flag is actually a Boolean on the incident.
Yep. So you've actually extended the incident to have the VIP value there. So if someone leaves the organization or no longer becomes a VIP, the record still shows that they were a VIP when they raised the call.
Yeah.
Much better way of doing it.
Because especially we deal with government ministers, when they change, the whole department changes. So all of a sudden, all those other people are no longer VIPs, and we've got a whole pile of new ones. But you still want to get your reporting right about how many VIP jobs are there.
Yeah, and what's the eyeball icon there next to the ID?
Oh. Remember there was a preview thing that you put your mouse over the title text and it popped up?
Yep.
And that's our eyeball. We just changed it from the text to the eyeball.
Nice. Love it.
On the active work, we don't show it, but on the teamwork, we do have the assign to me. So you click that, it'll open it, assign it to you, save it without leaving the grid.
Yep.
Same thing, the previous stuff's there. The only change we did to that preview thing was changing it from hovering over the title to putting the icon in there.
Yep.
The changes, I guess, we've got 4 types of changes that are available. So we've got normal, standard, emergency, and an add event. Now, changes, we sort of did something weird with changes. We decided that people needed to be able to do things. We wanted to ask for extra stuff depending upon what they selected. So say we can go into planning. Down the bottom, it's got, does a backup plan exist? You tick it and you've got to fill in the backup plan. Sort of like an ARO. Things like on the details page, is it due to another incident service request? You click it and you get a comment saying everything must be related. Will it cause impact to customers or not? This one, if any other agencies are affected, you get a list of who else gets affected. Just different things like that, so it pops up things. Now, even though it's all using the same form, the standard and normal are actually different. So that was a normal. If we go to a standard, there's no questions for testing down here because being a standard change, it's already approved. Pretty much the work instructions exist. Then it gets rid of the thing underneath it. If there's any variation to it, then you get extra stuff. But it's all the one form, so it changes the form depending upon whether it's a standard, normal, whatever. Now, our other weird one is our add event. Yeah, that's our add event change. And as you can see, it is actually a change request. So we'll have a whole pile of event types put in there, like for change freezes, public holidays, major public events. Say the Clipsal's on, you don't want any changes that are going to affect the traffic management centre, things like that. So depending upon what sort of how big a public event is, it may stop us from doing changes for certain parts of the department. So we'll say this one's just a public holiday. put that in. I'll just put the same description in. That starts on, oh, we did it for the whole weekend, so, oh yeah, it's the first. And that does create a new change, but there's a workflow on the back end. As soon as it sees that the change is an event type, it automatically closes it. So that's actually saved it as that. Once that's closed, you then see all the rest of the fields. The reason we've got that one in there is because we have change calendar. So if we go forward a week, we should now, it should be there. Oh, no, I know what it was. I set the date and time to the, change that to 11:59 8 p.m. because it starts and stops at the same time. Okay, so now we go back to the calendar. And next.
Oh.
So they can see that's a event that goes for the whole day. If it's on a weekly, if you want to go to a monthly, you can see the got that there. Now, if there's any other changes there, they all show here. They'll colour by priority. So if it's change freeze for government change freeze and it's red, public holidays are yellow, you can still click on these and actually go to the actual change in a new window. Oh, it's completed, but it's still only showing these. That's cool. I must have fixed that. Originally, it was showing the entire thing.
Okay.
But then again, that was once it was closed. But also here, we can just drop down on the calendar. So we only want application stuff. So that's disappeared because it's not an application. If we want everything, if you want a particular event type. So anything that is not a major public event.
Okay.
Or anything that is not a public holiday. Basically, it's just changes the SQL depending upon what one of these you pick.
Yeah. Yep.
And all changes will show here as well. I don't know how many we've got on UAT.
No, that's all right.
Oh, there's some.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's our event change.
I love that.
Sort of almost smart forms for the changes. When we put changes in, we didn't have time to come up with something fancy for different event types and get them on the calendar or all the rest. We had to get them done really quick because the old system had to be decommissioned.
Yep.
So, yeah, just came up with quick and dirty for that.
So when you actually create a change and someone starts planning a change, does it look at those dates and so forth and throw a warning to be able to say, hey, there's a major event or there's a change freeze on, you can't do
Not
this
yet.
at that time? Okay.
Not yet, but people know they're supposed to check the calendar. And when they put a change in, it stays with them. It doesn't go anywhere until they actually submit the change. So I'll go put a normal change in now. Notice there's no activity tab or anything else up here. I'm just going to copy this and paste this in everywhere. There's those four, and the environment impacted, we'll say dev, and hasn't been tested. We'll say not required. They're the basic main fields. Now I've got to change in. So once that applies.
So again, you can apply and save that, but it doesn't submit it.
It goes nowhere. Anyone that looks at this will never see the activities tab or anything else up the top.
Right.
And the implementation tab's not there either, or the results tab.
Yep.
So that's saved, but we really should be putting, like, you can just start doing it. You do a bit today, a bit tomorrow, keep saving it. We'll say this is from then till then.
Yep.
And apply and save that, and it's still not going to do anything. Did you notice the extra button we've got down the bottom?
Yep. So what's it doing at this point? It's just not actually just not changing the status of it. It's just keeping it as new.
It's not going anywhere. There is actually a manual activity at the start called the change request initial manual activity.
Yep.
And that is there active. It's assigned to no one. So no one sees it in any of the queues. But if you do go to the active work and a bit of reset the view, you can actually find them. So this is the initiate change request. Now, if I try and go to that, I can't. Oh, I can. I shouldn't have been. Yeah, there's still no activity tab, so that'd be the only way I can get to it. I'll have to hide them on that list. So this one, no support group, no implementer, no nothing.
Right.
And they can't, because they can't get to the tab, technically they can't go and set that to complete.
Yep.
So pretty much when it's all ready and it's ready to go, you hit submit change and you get to select your peer reviewer, your submission approver, who's going to implement and who's doing post-implementation review.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, you only need one of these first two. There are actually review activities in the activity list for both, but if you don't put a submission approver in, when it gets to that step, it auto skips it.
Yep.
So I like spamming Ryan, so he can go in as a peer reviewer. He can be an implementer. He does this to me all the time, so I'm just getting him back.
Fair enough.
I'll do the post-implementation review. So when you submit this, I didn't know as much as I do now as when I created this, so I actually extended the change request class by these 4 fields, relationships to the user class. If I did it now, I'd put them straight into the review activity.
Yep.
But when I submit that then will also now get the activities tab.
Right.
Because it's been submitted. So basically it looks, once you submit it actually sets a flag to say it's been submitted, and then you can get the activities tab. Now this, because I've submitted it, it'll pick it up in a back-end workflow and it will automatically complete this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've submitted it, and that will then go to the peer review, which has got to be done, so it'll have to approve that. It'll skip this one and work its way through.
So you've extended the change CI work item to have a submitted Boolean field.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I wouldn't do it that way if I did it now. I'd just go off the status of that first activity. If it's in progress, I'd leave it.
Yeah.
And if I'd, when you submit it, I'd automatically change that to completed. So you can see, I just got the email saying it's been submitted for pre-approval. So I got an email before saying I've created the change. Now I know it's been submitted. Things like when it gets to the change management review, so after it's all been approved, peer reviewed, that will automatically change the support group's change management.
Mm-hmm.
When I submitted it, I didn't say assign it to me. It picked up there was no support group or person assigned, so it automatically assigned it to me because I created it.
Mm-hmm.
But that will be ripped out when it goes to change management automatically.
Okay.
But we also put the creator in the affected user, so it will still show in my requests.
Ah. Okay.
Pretty simple one.
Nice, man. I like that idea.
Let's go hit the service request. Desktop phone request. Ryan's been testing again. I'm just going to go and use his stuff. Oh, no, this is one Mark's doing. Even though it's being edited by him, I've got no save or apply. I can still show you what I mean in this one. So you've seen the extended action log where it changes this default action log and automatically expands it, etc.?
No.
And that's up on the community.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. We've gone a step further. So this one is saying the support group was updated on this manual activity, what the title is and who it was actually updated to, or who updated it, and they updated it to that. So we've actually got manual activity, review activity stuff showing in this log. No one's actually put an actual comment in this log, which is, yeah, they show up as normal, just expanded, but looking like this. But so the last one, so we can see when new activities were added. So this one, so the MA 27407 was updated to asset management. So if we go to the activity tab, that's that one. And you can see asset management's in the support group. Now, I'm pretty slack and I really just want to do this because Mark's was using this one. No, just to show you what I mean. Oh, I can't apply it. I can't show you. Now, the weird part is all those ones that say this happened on that manual activity are not in the action log.
No.
They just display on the screen.
No.
So when the work item opens, we've got a SQL view we've set up, which will pick out certain updates from the history. And when we call that, we add it to the action log on the fly. So when you open it up, the real comments that you've added still stay on the work item, but we had all these extra ones on the fly in the browser only.
No.
Problem doing that is you can't save it, because we don't add everything it needs to save, but we don't want those comments added to the real action log anyway. So when we click the Save or Apply button, we rip through that action log and remove everything that we added, which then allows it to save.
Right, okay. Interesting. So you put it in, but then hit Save, you're going to take it out.
Change them. Yeah, it's just because we don't fill in every field. We just put the basics in so it can display.
Yep.
So then we remove them afterwards because we don't want them put into the service request or change request action log anyway. No. We just want to display them.
Yep.
So any change at the moment, any change of support group, any change of the notes, all that sort of stuff will show in that action log.
Cool.
Yeah. Customer fun stuff, I guess.
So the customer front end, so this is an interesting, so you've done a sort of a 4-tile sort of thing that we've seen in the past, but instead of 4 big tiles across the screen, you've put them horizontally across, which I think looks really neat and tidy.
We thought so.
Yeah.
This is the actual Cireson out-of-the-box homepage.
Yep.
It's just we modified the crap out of it once it loads.
Yeah. So before you go into that, though, the other one
search on the homepage.
The other one is the My Contact Details in the bottom right-hand corner. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the other sort of big change there that I really like the look of. It loads that of the user token that's currently logged on.
Yes.
And then the update contact
it
details.
Does have to go out and get the type projection to get the manager.
Oh, okay.
That there, if you have a look at that URL down there, it's going to a set request offering. That's the same request offering, and that is there, exactly the same link. We've just created a button so you can go to it quick. If you're in any request offering that's not the update contact details, it will show this button here as well. But it doesn't show it on the update contact details because you're already in there.
Oh, nice.
If that makes sense. pretty much these favorites are just like anything else. If I say go into file restore one and I say I want that to be my favorite, and then go back to the home page, there it is. So it's just the normal stock standard favorite stuff. It just, I moved it from here straight over to here.
Yep.
And just slightly reformatted it. Same with the top knowledge articles. Same thing, I just moved them over to the side and slightly reformatted.
Yep.
The leave feedback, as you can see, that is a direct link to a request offering. It's just a service request for leaving feedback.
Yep.
Because I've got that in a service offering called feedback, and the request is called feedback, the page knows that's the link that goes on this button.
Right.
The find information, that there we've got a couple of services, anything that starts, trying to remember what we did it. I can find out with a search. So anything that starts ICT policy or no, not the articles. There's another one as well. There's two things. If a service offering starts with, it will automatically put those service offerings here. So the internet links and the knowledge articles are actually service offerings. Then we just put normal internet links inside them.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That go off to other places. So literally that's just service offering. It picks out the request offering. That's just any service offerings that start with a particular text. The report an issue is a specific service offering. Anything in that shows on that, and then everything else goes on the request something.
Right.
So for, I guess, incident, we can do all sorts of weird stuff. The one that I really like, because as you know, you can only have one class on a drop down or a auto select. So if we do the same, these are the same questions that we're creating a new incident from the service desk. So I just on that, put some crap in there. Has it happened before? No. Now here comes the fun part. So if I type agents in here, that's grabbing that list from the business services. So that field is actually there. That's our modification of the query picker, which is done with the arrow toolbox that lists all the business services and filter down and select. But not everything is a business service, and it could be a bit of software on someone's PC. So if I put my PC in there, that will actually go out and run a thing to get a list of all of the software on my PC and put it into a memory, a variable in memory.
So that's getting that information from the asset management CI, or is it getting it from configuration manager?
No, we haven't actually put asset management in yet. We're just about to start working on that. So that's actually getting the relationship from the SCCM computer to the software item.
Nice.
I created a type projection which was the display name to the software item and no other relationships or anything else to make sure it was nice and quick to come back. So if I come down to here now, as I'm typing in here, it is actually pulling up and getting and filtering on the business service. When it gets that information back, it's then got a bit of code in there to go out to what it's got in memory and go through that. And if anything matches that filter, it automatically adds it to that data source.
Beautiful.
And that's how you get all the rest of them on there.
So
you can do that with any sort of
any business service that exists in the system, plus any software that is currently installed and detected by Config Manager on the machine that's listed above.
On that PC. Yeah.
Beautiful.
If you put multiple PCs in there, it will grab all the software on all of them and filter off that.
Beautiful.
So pretty much that one there's for the business services. Everything else is installed on my PC.
Beautiful. Love it.
That's just one of the fun ones. Most of the rest of these things are pretty simple. So if you have a printer problem, yeah, you've got the printer queue or the asset number. So we're actually searching on either the printer queue or the description, and we put our asset number in the description on the printer queue.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty basic stuff, that. Now we've still got, well, actually one of the things you might want to actually see is the actual update contact details.
Mm-hmm.
So if I click on that, now we have certain information that is required. We don't want them to have to retype it all the time.
That was going to be my question.
See, that's gone out and grabbed all my. Yeah. We've got everything that we want required set to required. It's gone out and grabbed all my information and inserted it in there.
Nice.
But I don't want to update. I don't want to update mine. I want to update someone else's. I'll basically let you know that it's going to clear everything, and it gets rid of everything. So if I want to update Ryan's information, most of this will come back the same. Well, he's changed his location. I haven't. We moved floors. So yeah, that's now got Ryan's information in there.
Nice.
If I change one character of that, that just disappears everything. I could just say that's go back to myself, and that will then clear all this and go back to me.
So instead of having, because you're an analyst or because you're an admin, you've got the whole, you can create on behalf of somebody else. Instead of leaving that there, you then put that behind a button.
Everyone, including customers, can submit jobs on behalf of someone else.
Ah, okay.
There are certain requests we make it disappear, like the new user request. It just really confuses people, so it's just gone from that request. But if you're a director, you're not going to want to go and put your own jobs in. You get your PA or someone else to do it, so they can still put them in on behalf of someone else. Because they've submitted it, they automatically get added to the watch list. Right. Even if they're not the affected user, but just the fact that they've created it. Then when the jobs get closed, they automatically get removed from the list, so it doesn't just keep filling up the list.
Yep.
They can make themselves the primary contact for things. Once they submit the job, they can just update that part. So we pretty much give that to everyone.
Nice.
We don't limit it down at all, and just certain requests we hide it on.
So when you save this, if you could just scroll down, you can see that my contact details on the right-hand side. That button doesn't exist first. Yep.
Yeah.
But when you save
it does on every other request except this one.
Yeah.
Okay, as you can see, that's level 12. I'm going to go on, because I'm actually on level 10 now. That is the locations from the asset management system.
Cool.
This is the organisational area from the asset management. So we do use those parts of it, and we also use vendors. We just haven't put real asset management in yet. So the only thing I'm changing is that. So this being UAT, it's going to update UAT, Service Manager, and AD.
And AD, and I think that's the important thing to mention there. How are you getting it to do that straight away without it, or is it waiting for a particular thing to run in the workflow?
We've got 3 activities there. So if I put it in on behalf of someone else, all of our service requests have an initial automatic activity that will do things like check to see if the title, because we lock the title of service requests down so they can't be changed, because we use them for reporting what type of request it is. Because we have multiple requests in one offering, you can't necessarily go off the template or the request offering to know what type it is. So we lock those down, but our initial automatic activity will update titles. It'll do all sorts of weird stuff. In this particular one, it will check, and if the person that created it is the affected user, it will automatically skip this one.
Yep.
And drop through to this one. If the created by and the affected by are different, it puts the affected by in the approval and stops.
Right.
So if I say put in a request to change Ryan's details, he'll get an email for approval for that because they're his details. He's supposed to control them. If he approves it, it then drops down to this one. If it makes it to this one, it updates Service Manager and AD directly.
Okay.
It's all done with the Cireson PowerShell activity.
Nice.
We actually extensively use the Cireson PowerShell activities.
Yeah. And I reckon that's the best way to go myself. Can't be bothered screwing around with Orchestrator, but
there's some things it's good for, some things it's not.
Yeah.
So as you can see, that one completed. It skipped this one because it was for me, and now it's in this one.
Yep.
So I'll start up another window, and down here, it's already updated. So it's level 10 now instead of 12.
Nice.
So that should complete in a second, and that AD will be updated as well. Yep, so that whole thing's pretty much done. AD and Service Manager updated. It doesn't get assigned to anyone, it just runs.
Yeah. Yep.
Some of the, you know yourself how you've only got one bit of criteria to hide and show things?
Yep.
On a request offering? Let's pick one. Go remote network access. And this is how it works in production as well. Okay, so we've got one field type of request. In this instance, I want it to be new access. Basically, who is it for? Now, this doesn't have a create on behalf of someone else because we need to ask the question, and if it's for someone else, it may be for someone external.
Yep.
So that's why we've got this in a drop down instead of up the top. So if I say someone else, then it comes up the user as external to Dipty. Now that's got the remote network access user, but if that which has appeared when I've said this, so if I tick that, that then disappears. But if I say the external user has a Dipty logon, then it reappears. And that is the same field disappearing and reappearing on each one of these.
Right. So how are you managing to achieve that?
The arrow toolbox.
Yeah.
I will actually. I'll show you what this looks like. I'll bring it up in Dev. That's production. That one's Dev. So. Dev's a little bit slow because, yeah, it's not the biggest servers.
Yep.
So, remote. So that's the remote network access. It is an advanced request offering, so we have to click that. So it's all these ones. So who is this request for? That is just a simple list. It's myself or someone else.
Yep.
Then we got show hide criteria or show hide criteria, then an autocomplete. Now the autocomplete changes a grid view to a single select field, just a text box, single selection. Then we've got more show hide criteria here with the customer name, more with the customer organization, and all these things. Oh, here we've got one with a 2 on the end. So what this one will actually do, this simple list, when we go down to the, we're going to find that one with the 2 on it. So basically when the toolbox runs through, it'll grab any of these that don't have the 2 on it first. So it'll grab, say, this one. Now that's got a show when true, who's this request for is equal to myself. Because we don't want it showing until you select something.
Yep.
So that will, when it runs through the toolbox, it will move the criteria for that one and add it to that one, because that's the next one. So this one will become whatever that one was,
Or,
and because it's got the or there, it'll be whatever that one was, or the request is equal to someone else. So if the request is myself, or the request is someone else. If I didn't have the or there, it'd be an end. So after it's done its first loop through all of them, it comes back and does another loop and grabs all the twos. So this one becomes, as it doesn't have an or, it becomes an end and gets added to this one. So it's, if it's this or this, and the type of request is equal to new access.
then show it.
Yep.
Nice.
So even if you select myself or someone else, if it's a modifier, it doesn't show.
Nice.
We've got some of these things now with up 8, 10 different criteria sitting behind them, just to say when they show or not.
Wow. Okay. And you just keep incrementing that number?
No. No, like this one, it's got the or, it's got an end there, so it'll come through, it'll do this one and add it to that. It will grab this one, that will be gone at the time, so it'll actually grab this one and add it to that. Then it does its second loop through and it'll grab that one, which is a combination of these two, and add it to this, which is the combination of those two. So that information add information icon thing, we can just add, you know, what was that on? I didn't even see what it said. Oh, there it is. Because it's got icon in there, you put your mouse over it and it'll display what text was there. So that was this add information icon and whatever text you want. If it was add information text, you wouldn't get the icon, you'd just get the text there.
Nice.
The software business application issue, just to show you how we did that one. So down here we have, so there's the software, so the multi-select to make it a multiple selection. We've got this add data merge property before it, which is basically saying whatever's in the variable in the background, add all of it to this next field when it filters. We've got the add data merge property before the asset number, so when you type your asset number in, it sets a name to com numbers. So when it creates this array, it's basically a big bit of JSON. It'll create a variable called com numbers, because that's what I've called it. So we could have put com numbers instead of all down here and it still would have worked. Or we could have multiple ones that create multiple different names of stuff. So we can get something off a user, something off a com, and then merge all of them into one. So the type it gets is the text. The GUID is the type projection to get. So this will literally go out and grab the display name of whichever one you've got, hit that type projection and get the results, and the display name and GUID from those results then get added to, so it'll actually be com numbers dot display name and com numbers dot, actually an array of com numbers, and then inside there the two names for each member of the array, which it then uses to go and add to this one, if that makes sense.
I think it does.
And just by putting these in the arrow, the toolbox just goes and adds all that code that it needs.
Right.
Overwhelmed you yet?
Well, it's an hour. It's been an hour, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But I do want to see what you've done. I do want to show you. Sorry, go for it, man.
I was just going to say something like, I've got to try and grab one that's got the right point. I'll go to dev. I know there's one in dev because it's being played with at the moment. So we have something like our software request. We don't have the asset management system in, so we've still got to get all the data from our old Brian system.
Right. Yep.
That's your HC. I want dev. Oh, pardon me. Now, what we've actually done is request something software. We've got our software request. So, myself, someone else, whichever everyone gets. So, do you want to purchase, install, remove, or transfer? Which one do you want? They do actually do different things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, purchase. Let's go with that.
Okay. Purchase, install. Where do you want to put it? We'll say mine. Which is just the normal lookup. Now, we don't have software in Service Manager yet. That's something we're actually starting to get done now. So what we've actually got is a lookup to our old asset management system.
Okay.
And that's all the bits of software you can actually go and install. We'll say, in this instance, I know it's not there. So I'll just put in, if you watch this carefully, that select software to install drop down. If I'm going to type more. Well, that should have disappeared. I haven't got the latest version of the page loaded. So if I select something from here, the other one disappears. If I go back up there, I get not listed above. Notice the drop downs disappeared.
Nice.
As soon as you start typing, it disappears. Put some crap in there. And, do you reckon I can approve this?
Sure.
Nope. It won't let me select myself.
Nice.
Now, we've just got one of those little @ things. We put it before any user picker, and it's @ prevent select self. So
nice.
It goes out and does the search. I do get returned, but as I get returned, I get stripped out before it displays.
Oh, I love it.
It is showing my special, like my admin account, but it's not showing my normal account.
I love it.
So no one can approve their own stuff.
Love it.
I guess I'm going to put a column number in. So, and we don't have a save. We've got a submit request because we do all sorts of other weird stuff as well with some of them, not all of them. But I'll actually submit that one. But we've actually done that with all, even if you don't need manager approval, if there's a possibility you might, we still ask for a possible approver, and we still stop people from putting themselves in.
Okay.
So that one will run and go through and do its stuff. So I'll go down to one that we've prepared earlier. There's a purchase install, and it's got a whole pile of crappy name in there.
Mm-hmm.
So the initial PowerShell activity will take whatever software you've selected and put that in the title, so someone just looking at it can see it's a software request to purchase and install. That's the software they want, and that's the PC it's going on without even opening it.
Yep.
Our initial activity, it will go through, because if this is a purchase and install, it just skips the whole remove software workflow. It skips the transfer software, and it leaves the purchase install running, which there's quite a few things, and some of these things need to run, some don't. So the first thing we want to do is find out what that software is, because it's an unknown one. I can tell because it's just crap and we don't have crap in the list. So we say we've found out what it is when we complete that, and we get asked all this. So we can say additional approvals required, which will then put the it'll ask you who needs to approve it, and it will put it in this RA. So, like, if there's some technical reason and the tech services guys have to approve it, you can put one of them in there. And if you don't tick that, that'll get skipped.
Yep.
Same with the manual activity. If you need someone to do something manually before it goes to the manager for approval, that'll put the support group in the generic manual activity here, or it'll skip it. You can fill in all of this for information that's needed. We'll say these aren't really needed. So, and notice it's actually skipped those.
Skips nicely.
So as soon as I clicked OK, they're gone and they're skipped. If I let it go through, because it's unknown software, it'll come down to here. I don't care if Ryan's testing this, I'm using this one now. Naturally, yeah, I just did this so it kept these together.
Okay.
Just to keep it in a group, not because it was actually needed.
Okay.
So, as you can see, our titles on service request are always disabled, support groups always disabled, and assigned to always disabled.
Yep.
Because we only want them touching the activities. Still waiting for this to come in progress. Don't you hate waiting for workflows?
Tell me about it.
It's like watching grass grow. So it hasn't even skipped this one properly. That should have, what the? This one we haven't actually gone live with yet. That's going live in a couple of weeks. So I'll have to double check why the hell that's happened.
Test, test, and retest, as they say. Test, test, and retest, as they say.
Nah, there it goes. It's skipped now. That's going in progress, so that'll skip. And then this one will go. So it is skipping.
Yep. Cool, man. So I know this has been over an hour now, but I do want to have a look at the KB article setup that you've got as far as editing and approving KB articles.
Yes.
I think that's genius as well.
Yep. Well, I'll just say one thing with this. When it gets to this step, because it's unknown software, when they get the pop-up, they get a different pop-up window for this one, and it'll actually ask them if it actually is something and they've just mistyped it, and they can select it from the list, which will then go and skip things. But depending upon whether it needs a manual install, automatic install, it basically skips and runs different things. So if it's in SCCM as a package, we add it to an AD group, this one will run, and that'll get skipped. And that's all done from these pop-up screens.
Right, so if someone's typed Adobe Reader instead of Acrobat Reader, and Acrobat Reader's in the list, you could say, no, they actually meant Adobe Reader and re-inject it back into the process that way.
Yeah, like this one, this is the evaluate and test and approve. So it's unknown software, it's gone to desktop support. And they decide whether they're going to package it or not, whether that can be installed or whether it's failed, what license type. So we'll say it's a subscription, where the software is. If it's packaged, you then get the package name, which is the AD group. And that will then give it to all the, because we can't put into the old asset management system at the moment, we give them an activity, they set it up, and then it continues on. It'll pick up that it's now got an AD group and automatically install it. But if it's got a manual install as well as an auto install, it'll leave both activities there. So it really depends upon what you answer. So it's sort of like a mini ARO by itself, just on completion. Knowledge base, we don't have a new button, so you can't get to it, apart from doing searches or whatever for a normal user.
Yep.
or clicking on here, but under here, any analyst, now every analyst is a knowledge manager. So they've all got the knowledge manager dashboard. This being dev, there's a whole heap of crap in here. Notice there's a whole pile of archived as well as submitted, reviewed, whatever else. So if I grab one of these archived ones and let's edit, no one can actually delete any. Once they're there, they're there. This being archived, it's all disabled. It says who it was archived by, when it was archived by, and the reason that it was archived. So I can actually clone this one. So, well, yeah, whatever description they put in, that just goes there. So say I really, this is pretty much what I want. I want to. Actually, no, I'll come back out to the other list and get a published one. But an archived one we can clone, and a published one you can clone. So say this one here is being replaced. We're upgrading the system or something, and that one we need a new knowledge article for. So there's the article. If I edit that, being published. Now, me being an admin, actually no, on dev, I'm actually in the knowledge management support group. So by default, if you're, all analysts are a knowledge analyst, but if you're not in the knowledge management support group, all of this stuff is disabled on a published or anything that's not a draft. So they can do anything they like to draft. I'll show you the process through that in a sec. But say we want to copy this one, we can archive it, which will then pop up the reason for archiving, put that information in, but in this case we don't want to do that. We want to clone it. So that has now gone and created this one. So it's a new article number, and it's in draft status and you can't change it. Does that make sense?
I'm on mute. I'm talking to myself.
You there?
Sorry.
I just had to check mine to see if I was on mute.
That makes sense. So they can't automatically put themselves to production. Published.
No, they can only do a draft. If it's in draft, any analyst can do whatever the hell they like to it, apart from change the status. So they can go and update the analyst content, whatever else, save it, and when it's ready to go, we can save it, apply it, but when it's ready to go, we submit it.
Yep.
Now, when we submit it, we select a peer reviewer. I'll say me in this instance, just for the hell of it. And what support, if you're in a single support group, it will automatically select that support group and say that support group owns that article. Right. If you're in more than one, it'll ask you which one you want to do. Now on dev, I'm in those three, so I'll leave it at knowledge management. It'll also tell you that it was cloned from this and ask should it actually replace the above article. So if I say no and this thing gets published, the one it was cloned from stays there. I'm actually going to say yes because we want to replace that particular one. So when this gets published, the old one will automatically get archived.
Wow.
So knowledge base article 72 was just done. If I go to my requests, there is a service request knowledge base article, update article 72, replacing 58, title of it. So it's gone and created this. Now in this service request, we can actually go and open the knowledge article. And it'll go to a new tab. This is the knowledge article that we were doing, so it was 72.
Yep.
If I go into edit on this, open the submission service request, and that will open that service request in a new window.
But that button's on there because the status is in review.
Well, those buttons will always be there because we took one of the fields out and stopped it from showing, and we put certain codes in there. So we'll say on the knowledge base article, it'll have -SR in that field, and then the service request number. It'll have -R and then a number of the knowledge base article if you're replacing it. It'll have a -C in the number of the knowledge base article for whatever you cloned it from. So that way we can do all sorts of stuff like this.
Oh, okay.
So that being when you submit it, it automatically changes it to review.
Yep.
So that's now in peer review status. Yep. And admin, well, I'm in the knowledge management support group, so I get to do anything I like at any time. But for any other analyst, even though they're a KB analyst, everything is disabled there. Mm-hmm. So they can't edit it.
Yep.
And if we go back to this one, needs a review. It's already put me in there. I'm just going to approve it. No comments. So if we give that a second. So the verify publish just goes to remove. Don't want everyone in there before it goes, sends the email out. Okay, that'll do. certain ones of them I don't want to spam. Okay, so that's now in progress. Hopefully that got in before we got the email. But that particular activity now, if we refresh that, it's still in review. Give it a sec, and that should automatically change to submitted. Eventually. The workflow's just got to run properly. Anyway, once that's actually done, and the knowledge management team are the ones that say, yes, you can publish it or not. Mm-hmm. So when they say approve that one, no comments, save that. That service request will complete. It'll still always have that button linking it to the thing. And yep. Then this should end up becoming, once the so it changed to submitted now. So when the next workflow runs, that will actually change to published. The thing is, we said that article 52, no, it was 58 it was copied from, was supposed to get replaced. So that's still in published at the moment.
So what's triggering that? Because there's not
becomes published.
There's not an activity for that.
The service request. No, once the service request is completed, or that submission approval is completed for the second review activity, it will then come through and trigger the workflow to go and change these. So that one's now published, and this one's now archived.
So what's the workflow that triggers that? That's not an activity.
It's just a back end. No, it's just a back end workflow in Service Manager.
Oh, okay. So you've edited a.
So we've just got it sitting there waiting for those review activities with those particular names to be completed.
Ah, okay.
So the last one said it was archived by Ryan. This one says it was archived by a service request, and it was replaced by 72 in that service request.
Okay.
And you've still got the link here to go to that service request on here, even though the service request was started from here.
And on there, it's open the submission service request.
Yep, which is the one that when we submitted it, created.
Yep. On
here, it's the same thing. Oh, actually, no, this one is to open the one that created this one. That's a different request number down the bottom.
Okay.
So, does that make sense?
It does, man.
And it'll actually say up here what support group owns it.
Yep. Awesome.
Oh, it's pretty simple. It's pretty much one management pack. So it's got the back end workflow and one service request. and a little bit of JavaScript.
Love it.
And since it's got nothing to do with the console apart from the service request, and we keep people out of the console anyway, no one can stuff it up.
I love it. Absolutely fantastic. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I really do.
There's a URL field here. Hang on. I did have the. If we had a prod. Oh, this one. Where's the knowledge base? So knowledge articles there. If we select that to everything. So this is all your knowledge articles. Remember I said we were putting certain codes in for things. So it's the external URLs source. So -A would be archived by whoever. -SR is the service request number to publish that one. All sorts of weird stuff. R1 is, I think that was when we were first starting. Yeah, -C was cloned by, or cloned from whatever that article number was. So it's literally just putting the codes in this field so we can pick them up in the JavaScript and the back-end workflows and do stuff.
So what's the OSG?
So that's how we know who archived it. And service group, owning service group, and that's the GUID for the service group name.
Yep. And then D deleted or D?
So D, where's the D?
On the end of that one.
I can't see a D. There?
Yeah.
No, it's part of the GUID.
Oh, okay.
It's got then it's the -A for the who archived it.
-A for archive.
All the fields have the minus before it.
Before it, not after it.
Yeah,
sorry.
so -SR is the service request number, -OSG, the number, yeah. So that's how we know who did what.
Perfect, man.
Yeah,
makes sense.
So this was -R's to replace. It was cloned from 14. The service request number was that, but it hasn't been archived yet because it doesn't have the -A on it. Right. So literally, we just hid that field on the form because we don't use it. So we just use it for all these codes. And the reason for archiving, we also hid the external URL and we put the reason for archiving it in there.
Okay, but you just don't use external URLs?
HTTP in front of it. No, not for knowledge base articles.
Okay.
We had to pick a couple of fields to use, so those two were it. So we just hide them on the form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. No, well, it's interesting stuff like that because
I just want to know about
the team and sort of we're talking about KB articles. There's some of the fields maybe that they need to add to the system. Archived reason, archived by.
Yeah, then we could just move all that data into those fields and modify whatever we need.
Yeah. But it's just an interesting way of being able to think of doing KB articles that I think that we sort of get them in front of them to dev it.
It would have been nice if we could have, say, had one AD group that could always create articles and edit them in draft, but not do anything else. So we had to go through this whole process of using one user group as well as making everyone a knowledge manager.
Right, okay. So not just knowledge managers, but knowledge creators.
Yeah, probably, if it could be done, you could, say, have another group for, say, editors or creators or whatever you want, and the managers are the only ones that can publish, and say creators can create and edit or whatever. Then you could limit them to what they can actually do without having to put all the extra stuff in that we've had to do.
Right, so creators can, or editors can create and edit. Managers give the dashboard.
That's what I'd say.
And then approvers can publish, or publishers can publish.
Well, I'd say the knowledge managers can publish because they're the knowledge managers. They're the ones that should be doing everything.
Right, yep.
But you don't give that to everyone.
No.
It's sort of like our knowledge management thing has become a knowledge editor creator, but unable to publish. And our knowledge management support group, which is the support group for incidents, pardon me, that has become our real knowledge management group.
Right. Makes sense? Wow, man. Well, it's amazing stuff.
So, I'm just more proud of these pop-ups we've got on the manual activities. We literally hide the original pop-up, create our own, and any of the additional information fields we've got, if someone types something in that, we'll put that in the notes, which is what the comments on the original screen actually do.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. I think that's really, really
we
good.
Can ask for all sorts of info.
And you're updating the manual activity information there constantly. So no matter where someone goes into a manual activity, they've always got all the case notes that they need. Or on the manual activities, are you displaying the case notes or the description from the original source?
Our initial PowerShell activity sometimes will change what the description is. We'll put more information because most of the templates will just say loading when they get created. Then we take all the user input and create the description and stuff from that.
Yep.
But at that point, it also puts that same description in all of the activities. So it's always there. Our I didn't show you the add activity on a service request, actually. That will actually grab the description as well and put it on the pop-up screen. So I don't care if he's editing this. Actually, I do. They just got rid of the tasks. Let me grab another one. Okay, so we click add once it actually finishes loading. So this is slightly different in that we can now actually select what type of activity we want. What activity to place things after. So we say we want to put something after the parallel activity. If you select a parallel activity, you get the choice of if you want to put it inside that parallel activity or after it. So if I tick that, it goes within. If I don't, it goes after.
Nice.
And this one didn't have a description here, so nothing to copy over.
But it would have copied it over there.
Yeah, so that way you can just save, it'll change it. So you can say your support group as well. I'll put this through to us so no one gets spammed. But then we've got this add an additional manual activity. So say service request management needs someone's approval before they can do something. They can add a review activity up here. I should do this as a review activity. And it'll ask who your approver is. This instance, it doesn't stop you from putting yourself in, so I'll just put myself in here. So that will add a review activity with me as the approver. But say after it's approved, it's got to go somewhere. So you can say send it on, we add another manual activity, give it a title. It will use the same description that you've got up here, and you just say what support group to send it to. Now, if you are in that support group you send it to, it will automatically put you as the activity implementer. If you're not in it, it just leaves the activity implementer blank. So if I OK that one, that should jump up to 13 of 23. Oh, 12 of 25. What? So that's the request offering. Let's put me in there. And that was the extra manual activity. And yeah. So you can just keep adding as many as you like. The other thing that does work with is problem. It does work with problems.
It does work with problems as well.
Yeah, but they work the same as incidents. You can only do manual activities. So we've got the activities tab. This one doesn't have any on it. Yeah, who cares? We'll add one. Put in any crap. It doesn't give you a place after because there's no actual workflows. And then they can assign that to whoever. There's the activity, which you can't get out of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing we've done with this is the problem management group will actually get emailed when manual activities on problems get completed. So when we add the activities, if it's a problem, it'll put problem at the start of the title. If it's a service request, it'll be service request. So that way on your teamwork or whatever, you'll see, even though it's a manual activity, whether it's an incident, problem, service request or whatever.
Okay.
Just to try and make it easy for people.
Yeah, no, looks good, man. Love it. All right. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I've taken way too much of your time.
Yeah, no worries.
But I think it'll be really good to be able to show the team when I'm in San Diego next week. So I can stop recording.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more there. I just can't think of it at the moment.
What's recording?
That's the main stuff that people actually see.
Okay. Settings. How do I stop recording?